Now let's quickly cover something I consider very important, which is powers of 10. So multiplying and dividing by powers of 10. So this confuses a lot of people, but multiplying by and dividing by powers of 10, I think the basic intuition is if you multiply, the number should always get bigger. I think that's just logical. So if I gave you a number 2.4 and I said I'm multiplying it by 10, what I'm saying is if you ever multiply, the 2.4 should somehow become bigger, right? So what's bigger than 2.4? Is it 24 or is it 0.24? I think this is the logical test I always do. Like clearly it's this, so I don't even have to think about it. If I'm multiplying, the 2.4 should get bigger, so it should become 24, not 0.24. And so this is the logic. But why do we say this? So you'll be dealing with this a lot. But if you multiply by a power of 10, then the decimal moves to the right, okay, which is another way of saying that the number is getting bigger. So I'll explain it with an example. Let's say you have 1.234 multiplied by 10, while the decimal moves one step to the right and it becomes, so now notice it's moved from here to here and the number has magically become 12.34. Digits remain exactly the same, but notice the test, which is the number should get bigger. Is 12.34 bigger than 1.234? Yes, right? Like 12 is bigger than 1. So you can immediately check it. So if it's 1 0 of the 10, we're just moving the decimal one place. What about 2 zeros? If the same number was getting multiplied by 100, which can be shown as 10 power 2. So maybe a quick note on this. The reason I'm covering this is on the exam we'll be doing standard form, we'll be multiplying and dividing by powers of 10. So 10 ki power just means if this is 10 power 3, that just means 1 with 3 zeros. If this is 10 power, I don't know, 5, 1 with 5 zeros. Okay, so the logic is always the same. And so 10 squared would be 1 with 2 zeros, right? So 0, 0. And importantly, what's going to happen to the decimal? Decimal abhi yahan pe hai, it'll jump 1 and 2 places to come right after the 3. So it will become 123.4. Okay, 2 to the right. And what about dividing by a power of 10? Wohi ulta logic. If multiplying was making the number bigger, then dividing should be making the number smaller, right? And so the decimal moves to the left this time. Moving the decimal to the left is making the number smaller. We can just illustrate that with an example. If I just gave you 1085 and I start putting the decimal somewhere. So let's say I first put it here, 108.5. 108.5. So the decimal is either after the third digit. If I move the decimal to the right, the number becomes 1085.0. Notice I can always put decimal ke baad 0 just to make a point that I've moved the decimal one digit. 1085 is bigger. So when I move the decimal to the right, the number gets bigger. Right is bigger. And left, if I move the decimal here, what happens? Let me use another color to make the point. So if I move the decimal to the left, it becomes 10.85, which is clearly smaller than 108. So 108 se chota hai 10. And so moving to the left is making numbers smaller. And that's the logic I want you to permanently understand, so that you're never thinking, oh my God, it's getting multiplied, it's getting divided, left hota tha, right hota tha. That is the wrong way to understand this. I want conceptual clarity from you, okay? So let's try it. 12.34 divided by 10. Now divide ho raha hai, so the number needs to get smaller. So I'll know the 12 must become smaller, so it has to move to the left. All right, so and how many places? If it's just 1 0, it's just one place. All right, so instead of 12, this decimal moves to here and it becomes 1.234. Digits remain the same. What about 3 zeros? Let's try 10 ki power 3. So this could come on an exam as 12.34 divided by 10 to the power 3. No need to worry. That's just 3 zeros with a 1. So 1 and 3 zeros is 10 power 3. And all we have to do is move the decimal 3 places. Now tricky. We only have 2 places, 1 and 2. What do? So the answer is you can just put as many zeros on this side as you want. It doesn't change the number. Just like after the number as well, you can put as many zeros as you want. 0 doesn't have a value, so it doesn't change the number at all. But you can't put it in the middle. You can't obviously just add it either. Yeah, you just add it either. That's obviously making the number 102, which is not the same. But after the first, to the left of the first digit and the right of the last digit, you can add it. So adding that just gives me room to move the decimal. So 1, 2, and 3 places, it will come before the first 0. So I can get rid of these zeros. It will just come like that. So it will be 0.0, that's the 0 we had added, and 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's how you divide by 3 zeros.